Big development this. We've got Yusuf Iqbal Yusuf, Advocate Supreme Court, joining us live. Vikram Singh, former DGP of the Uttar Pradesh, also joining us this evening. But first I'm going across to former IPS officer turned advocate YP Singh with me on the phone. Good evening, sir. Big development this.
Good evening.
Big development this. And it's going to make India's case meatier and stronger as it confronts Pakistan on 26/11.
Yes, certainly it's a win-win situation, because if he wants to become an approver, had he been governed under the Indian law, he would have had to be accorded a pardon. But in this case, since he's already serving a sentence of 35 years, his conviction would sustain in America. But at the same time, he becomes a friend of the prosecution here, and he's privy to a lot of information with respect to the criminal conspiracy. This was a big loophole in the 26/11 investigation, and now when we have got a source and a link which would unravel the conspiracy, I think the investigation of the case would go far ahead.
Well, YP Singh, thank you for talking to us. Going across to Yusuf Iqbal Yusuf and Vikram Singh. Mr. Singh, coming to you, sir. First, a word from Yusuf Iqbal Yusuf. A very odd request this was made, and Ujjwal Nikam taking consult, and then saying, pleading in front of the court that yes, let's allow him to turn witness. Can you hear me, Yusuf? We'll go across to Yusuf Iqbal Yusuf in just a bit. Big development is Vikram Singh.
This is a very positive development.
You can hear me, Yusuf. Sorry, I think we have got a bit of a delay. Go ahead, Yusuf.
Yes, I can. There was some. Yes. So this is an extremely positive development that we have been able to get David Headley to consent to be an approver. Now the issue is that the court will have to exercise powers under section 306, 307 of the Criminal Procedure Code, whereby it would grant pardon. Now, as per provisions of the law, David Headley, there would be some kind of an agreement or some conditions which would be imposed on David Headley to comply with, and he would have to give evidence of everything that he's aware of regarding the role of the other perpetrators of the crime. And once that is done, then only the pardon would be complete. If in case he violates any of these conditions of the pardon, then he would be tried as an accused. So pending the completion of the trial, he would be as a witness. And as per provisions of 306 subsection 4 of the CRPC, he is actually required to be in the custody of the court. So this is a mandatory provision which the Supreme Court has interpreted in 2009 in the case of Santosh Kumar, in which it was said that this is a mandatory provision and the court has to take such a witness into custody. So I don't understand how this would be possible if he is in the US. But yes, this is a definitely positive development, and we should do what best we can to capitalize on this.
But is there a leeway there? Is there a leeway wherein, because this person is already serving a prison term of 35 years after being convicted by a US federal court for the Mumbai attacks, and he's agreed to cooperate in all investigation with the US courts, and that's why the video conferencing. Can this be an exception and say, all right, he's in custody of the US courts, he's cooperating from there, and we will not try and enforce or demand custody of the US?
That in the larger interest of justice, I guess maybe there would be some powers which could be exercised by the higher courts, where they would be able to dispense with, because as I said in this judgment of Santosh Kumar Singh in 2009, Supreme Court very categorically has held that section 306 subsection 4, that a person who is an accused and who is being sought to be pardoned as a approver will require to be examined and to be as a witness, and during the trial, during the term of the entire trial actually, he has to be in the custody of the court. So that is a mandatory provision as far as I see. Of course, there is a slight leeway that in 304 the subclause 1 says unless he is already on bail. Now he's not on bail, he's never been arrested here, and there is no hope, I think, that we can get him to India since he's serving a 35-year sentence in the US. So then I guess the only option we have is capitalize on what best evidence that we can get. Maybe this may not be also real evidence, but this could be incriminating evidence or circumstantial evidence which will help us go to the final root of the matter, I guess.
True. Yusuf Iqbal Yusuf, stay with me. Vikram Singh ji, coming to you in just a bit. I've got Mr. M.N. Singh, former Mumbai Commissioner, with me on the phone. Sir, big development this. David Headley, ready to turn approver/witness.
I think it's a very important development and a very helpful development, I would say. And India should have no problem in examining him as an approver in the 2611 case, because an approver is a person who is deeply involved in the case, and as the evidence has come out, that David Headley was involved in this entire conspiracy, and therefore he knows the entire gamut of the planning and execution of the attack on Bombay, and therefore he can be a very useful witness. He is already in the custody in America and has accepted that he was a part of the 2611 conspiracy, and he had visited Mumbai so many times and was involved in the planning and execution. Therefore, I would feel that if he has offered to be an approver, and that means a witness on behalf of the prosecution should accept that and use him as a witness and examine him as an approver. That will fix the Pakistani conspirators and those who supported this 2611 attack on Mumbai city.
Yes.
And that will nail the lie of Pakistan, and that will be very useful in my opinion. I think he should be accepted as an approver. And
well, that's the development, sir. He has been accepted as an approver, and the fact is that there will be an Abu Jundal, David Coleman Headley confrontation, Vikram Singh. But more importantly, here is the man who has actually confessed to the US authorities, and we have it on tape in his confessions there, that the involvement of not just non-state elements like the Lashkar-e-Taiba, but also of the ISI. He is the one who's named a Major Iqbal and also a Sajid Mir along with Zakir Rahman Lakri.
Anand, that perhaps he is the one person who is privy to the whole conspiracy, the planning, the recce, and now he is in the position. It adds a whole new dimension to the investigation of 2611. Now, with what he knows, he is a gold mine of information, and as far as testimony is concerned, there could not have been a better evidence. Because of its evidentiary value, the legal fine-tuning can be done backstage. As in this case, you would realize that this has happened, it wouldn't have been possible without the manipulation of the host country in the backdrop of what has happened in the US.
Yes.
In Europe, this has come as a consequence of the realization that ISI and Pakistan are the epicenters of all terrorism in the world, and therefore they have tightened the screws and everything shall fall into place, rest assured. And if he sings, which I'm sure he will be a gold mine of information, giving value to whatever investigation has been done by the NIA and the Mumbai police.
Well, thank you for that. The update coming in, the pardon has been granted on the condition that he should reveal conspiracy of his role and role of others and should also disclose the true facts of the case. He's been granted pardon because he'll be able to throw light on conspiracy and will be able to give evidence against Abu Jundal. He said he's obliged to testify according to his plea agreement. Gentlemen, taking a very short break. On the other side, the other big development of the Bombay High Court verdict on Salman Khan. Do stay with us.
Tonight,
welcome back. All charges against Salman Khan dropped. Salman Khan is free. That was the verdict of the Bombay High Court, and it was building up to that over the course of the last 48 hours as the verdict was being dictated. What stood out is not that a sword hanging over the superstar over the last 13 years has finally dropped off. It's a huge monkey off his back. But what stands out is that it's the prosecution that's been torn to shreds. Every piece of evidence that they have put up has been deemed circumstantial. So much so, there has been an adversary noting which says that the prosecution looked to be working in favor of the accused. What has brought this turnaround from the Sessions Court 7 months ago to this verdict that overturned the Sessions Court's guilty verdict 7 months down the line? Let's ask Yusuf Iqbal Yusuf, Vikram Singh, who stay on with us. Shailendra Singh also joins us live. Yusuf Iqbal Yusuf, how do you see what's panned out? And do you or do you not think that the prosecution, if they really believe that they've got their facts right, should approve the Supreme Court at the earliest?
See, I've been maintaining from the beginning of this matter when it was being reported that the standard of proof which is required to convict Salman Khan in this case is totally missing. There is absolutely, this is a completely botched up investigation. They have not recorded statement of the star witness, that bodyguard Ravindra Patil, under section 164 as was required. They did not record the statement of those people who saw Salman Khan get down from the driver's seat. They made absolutely no efforts to find the other star witness, the person who was in the car, Kamal Khan. Now, all these things point only to a completely botched and a shoddy investigation. So I would say today's victory is actually a defeat for the prosecution more than a victory for Salman Khan. The point here is that the police in India tend to take investigations very casually, and they do not investigate or follow the set patterns or the requirements of the law as required. So the issue here is not who killed Nurullah, or it's very easy for people to go on social media, and I've been seeing this all through the day, that today is the victory of money. I think that's in bad taste, because I think what the High Court has done has actually upheld the law which has been laid down by the Supreme Court for the last 50 odd years. See, our basic criminal jurisprudence states and requires that the guilt of every accused person needs to be proved beyond every shadow of reasonable doubt. Now, anybody reading the actual investigation, anybody reading the charge sheet, or even looking at the media trial, I'm sure none of us can say that the standard of proof which is required to establish the guilt of Salman Khan was established beyond every shadow of reasonable doubt. That was not done in this case at all. And I think the High Court order would be absolutely justified. Yes, action should be taken against the prosecution, against the investigators, essentially the police, for having a botched up investigation.
Yes.
We are not in the right position to say whether this was done deliberately to help the accused or not. But the point here is that this was a botched up investigation from the word go, and the blood samples were not taken properly. So I don't think that even the Supreme Court, in my humble opinion, I don't think the Supreme Court would overturn this acquittal. And I would say that the Supreme Court
the onus lies on the prosecution, whether or not they can buckle up and they can plug the holes through which Salman Khan was able to make his way out. Before I come to you, Mr. Vikram Singh, quickly going across to Megha Prasad. Megha, any word from the prosecution? Because this is a big dent on the investigative ability of the Mumbai police and also the prosecution.
Well, absolutely, Anand. In fact, the way the prosecution has been toned down and torn into shreds by the Bombay High Court, of course, for them, a huge loss of face also. But then their argument's quite simple. They say that the same set of evidences were appreciated and appreciated so well by the lower court that they could not only get a conviction but also get 5 years of imprisonment to Salman Khan. And the same set of, evidences, when marshaled before the Bombay High Court, was not appreciated at all. But the point is that the Bombay High Court actually was looking into these evidences on the point of law, and it could actually find flaws in so many anomalies that it pointed out. The way this entire judgment was given, dissected clinically by Justice A.R. Joshi, and the way he found faults with the investigation done by the Mumbai police and the stand took by the prosecution, of course acquittal was on the cards. So what we have learnt now, Anand, from the Special Public Prosecutor Mr. Shinde, when he left the court, and later of course when we spoke to him, he said that it is very, very probable they are going to go to the Supreme Court and go and appeal against this verdict of the Bombay High Court in the Supreme Court.
Right. So they will move the Supreme Court, but will that be another long drawn, winded process we have to wait and watch, or will that also get quick redressal like it has happened in that passage between the Sessions Court to the Bombay High Court? Megha, thanks for your inputs. Going across to Vikram Singh. It's a telling blow, because what confidence will I have on the investigating team? What confidence will somebody have in the Mumbai police of doing its job right? Because when you accuse somebody, the onus lies on you to make sure that you have the facts and the evidence to prove the matter in court.
Absolutely, Anand. Agreeing with Megha and my learned advocate friend, it is not a case of botched-up investigation, it is a case of compromised investigation. The 49-page judgment delivered by Justice Joshi today speaks and has given a hard-hitting stricture on the investigation. It is a case of bad investigation, worse prosecution, leading to the acquittal of Salman Khan. Money doesn't have to play. The High Court would take a decision on the basis of the facts placed in a manner placed by the prosecution. This does not seem to have happened appropriately. No basic homework was done, as my learned advocate, to the extent of being repetitive. No statements under 164 of the CRPC of Patil or of Kamal Khan or of the witnesses seeing Salman Khan getting down from the driver's seat, and other connecting evidence were not recorded systematically. The prosecution has a job to do to collate and collect circumstantial evidence that it is incontrovertible. Nothing like that ever happened. The lower court has the luxury of seeing the witnesses in person, seeing their body language. This is not possible in the High Court. They go only by the basis, on the basis of law and the documents placed before them. And therefore, I can say that this stricture needs to be inquired into promptly, so that whatever the infirmity that was injected, I did not say crept in, what was injected into the investigation and the prosecution needs to be inquired into thoroughly and promptly, and all the defaulters to be taken to task.
True. Going across to Shailendra Singh, now, if when a Salman Khan had this noose or the sword hanging over him, look at the brand that he's built of himself. What happens now? Is there no stopping brand Salman?
True. Well, Anand, first of all, I'm a bit saddened at the perspective of the debate and the discussion. So I think, my fellow panelists and yourself included, you are actually painting a picture that Salman actually was guilty and committed the crime, but somehow,
because that's what looks like it when we look at the detailed orders, Shailendra, even if I have to challenge you on that, because the judge maintains that Salman Khan was in the car. He knew what had happened, but it's a case that's dragged on for 13 years, and it's the prosecution that has not been able to prove Salman's guilt. That's exactly what the order copy says.
I don't think you have the authority. You have the authority, Anand, to create the questioning, the line of questioning as an investigative journalist, but actually to start a debate discussing that somebody guilty has been given scot-free.
I never said that. I said I'm going by what the order copy said very clearly. The order copy says that the prosecution worked in favor of the accused. That invested, so that's what was said. I'm taking out excerpts of the order copy. It's torn the prosecution onto threads on the ground that it's the onus of the prosecution to prove the guilt, and it's not done it. Yes, Shailendra.
Agreed. I am just trying to make a short point for Salman, who's a citizen of India also. Fact of the matter is, 13 years is a long time for him to be in the news. He has,
so are those 4 victims. So are Nurul's family.
Courts where he was, convicted for 5 years, and then subsequently. And subsequently post-Sessions Court, he's patiently waited for the verdict of High Court. As a citizen of India, he has a right to celebrate today the verdict that he's got from the High Court. And whether it's a botched-up case or not, but the fact of the matter is, Salman Khan brand today is going to escalate to a level of dizzy heights, to be honest, because we all know the kind of emotions attached to Salman Khan, and he stood the test of time. He's been a true citizen of the nation, gone through the legal system, and came out a winner today. My God, there's nothing stopping Salman Khan anymore.
Well, but what about brand Mumbai Police and its ability to investigate a case after it points charges against somebody and then does not fails to follow through in terms of putting out a thorough investigation, so that it's a watertight case, not a case which is so porous that somebody the accused can slip by through various holes or multiple channels. That's the question. I'm way over time, gentlemen. We had to do the David Coleman Headley development, so a little paucity of time on the Salman Khan issue, but that is the debate number 1 on the news hour later this evening. Yusuf Iqbal and Vikram Singh and Shailendra Singh, thank you very much.
Tonight,